Yo, everybody. Before we get started with today's topic, if you missed my last live stream, I did already speak on this, but we are going to be moving to a live show format for my podcast for Canon's sake, which has been generally previously like recorded, pre-recorded, excuse me, episodes, and we're still going to do some of those. It's just most of them are going to now move to more of a live show format. I will be giving you guys some updates as we get closer to that date, but very, very soon we're going to start moving towards that. Mainly, I want to give you guys some sort of avenue to be able to listen to it, of course. And because I stream as often as I do, you already can listen to the For Canon's Sake podcast. We have had some great guests already, but you can already listen to it. It's already on Spotify and all major digital platforms. But since we stream a lot, now we can kind of give you guys more episodes. So stay on the lookout for that. I will keep you guys posted. With that being said, I had no idea why I'm on that one. With that being said, the WHO, they were speaking, and David Nabarro, I believe is how you say his name. He's WHO's special envoy on COVID-19, and they were speaking to the Spectator about lockdowns and the negative impacts. Now, I'm going to give you my thoughts, which is thoughts that I had already said, and a lot of folks like myself had already said. But let's take a look at this first and foremost, and then we'll kind of go from there.
But we had Professor Sunetra Gupta from Oxford University on, and she was implying, and I'm interested in you because you have a global mandate, a global view, was that a problem we don't think about in lockdowns is that they're very nationalistic. That if we lock down our economy, then it hits our economy. But it also means we are not buying stuff. We're not trading with weaker economies. We are not just destroying our own jobs, we're destroying the jobs of all those that in the poorer parts of the world that export to us. That seemed to me to be a reasonable point.
Really important point by Professor Gupta. I want to say it again. We in the World Health Organization do not advocate lockdowns as a primary means of control of this virus. The only time we believe a lockdown is justified is to buy you time to reorganize, regroup, rebalance your resources, protect your health workers who are exhausted. But by and large, we'd rather not do it. Just look at what's happened to the tourism industry, for example, in the Caribbean or in the Pacific, because people aren't taking their holidays. Look what's happened to smallholder farmers all over the world because their markets have got dented. Look what's happening to poverty levels. It seems that we may well have a doubling of world poverty by next year. We may well have at least a doubling of child malnutrition because children are not getting meals at school and their parents in poor families are not able to afford it. This is a terrible, ghastly global catastrophe, actually. And so we really do appeal to all world leaders. Stop using lockdown as your primary control method. Develop better systems for doing it. Work together and learn from each other. But remember, lockdowns just have one consequence that you must never, ever belittle, and that is making poor people an awful lot poorer.
Wow. Now, it's insane that, and I wonder if YouTube's going to allow this video to stay because, you know, Susan or whatever her name is, I do not know how to say her last name. And she's like, you know, you have people that are going against the WHO. And we don't want that stuff existing on our website and what have you. And I've had my first video, and I've been doing this for 14 years, man, YouTubing, and I've never had a video just completely taken down until I started talking about this. And then I had a video completely taken down regarding this virus. And a lot of guys like myself, specifically libertarians as well, had been saying that this was a terrible idea because the economy, you can go watch, I got all the receipts, go watch my previous streams, go watch my streams back in March, go watch my videos back in March when I was talking about this, and how that it has these, when you lock things down, right, the economy is not something you could just turn off and then put it on pause and turn back on. Those are one of the main points that I had made in this whole deal, because I was looking at it from an economic situation, which a lot of scientists do not have the ability to do, to be completely honest. So this is why it was always stupid for the entire countries to sit here and look at at scientists, whether it be Fauci and what have you, and adjust their entire livelihoods of big geographical areas based upon what he had said. Or not just him, but even other folks, other doctors in general. That's not how this works. And anybody that had any bit of economic sense that wasn't a Marxist or a Keynesian should have been able to see this. It was painfully obvious, man, that when you shut things down, people's livelihoods, especially folks that are generally on the poor scale, not just here, but also abroad. And you're seeing all of these studies and stuff that are coming out, like the man mentioned, child malnutrition, all of those stuff are going up. Why? Because what you tried to do to stop people from moving around, considering that this virus is, 99% survival rate in generally every part of the world for the most part, even for older populations, believe it or not, but especially for the younger and the more mid-tiers in terms of age. Yet we shut everything. One of the most bizarre things, huge wealth, transfer of wealth, people with small businesses. And again, it's not just here, it's also abroad. He brings up a great point when we talk about trade with other countries and what have you. And the people that are also caring about people, right? Because that's the reason why you done created heroes out of nurses and mask cultists and all kinds of stuff, right? And you care so much about people, and this was one of the things that they never wanted to take into consideration, along with the other things that are going up, be it in domestic violence or suicide rates or things of that nature. They act like they can't even take responsibility for it, but God forbid you be against lockdowns. God forbid you be against, let's say, like mandated mask, meaning that it's forceful. You have to be forced to wear it. They say that you want people dead, and they will blame every single death from this virus, though we're entering another flu season. So it's like, I feel like the death count should reset like it does with the flus and whatnot. But never mind, don't let the facts or anything get in the way. Like Johnny Anitas had said, this had a potential to be one of the biggest evidence fiascos of all time. I think it's safe to say it's already been that. But what I feel should be happening right now is that people that had been like certainly world leaders, be it politicians, government officials and whatnot, that are still using this stupid method. And they've lied, right? They said that the whole thing about okay, now we force you guys to wear masks so we don't have to lock you down. And that's not what's generally happened almost anywhere. You got mask mandates and you got lockdowns. You got, in New York, they doing more lockdowns, doing lockdowns again for certain zip codes. Right? You have other countries who are doing lockdowns again because they've seen rising cases, because all of a sudden it's now expected that nobody ever is going to catch this virus that you have a 99% survival rate of when it comes to living. Guys, that stuff has consequences. It always has had consequences, but it's something that folks don't want to consider. They don't want to consider. Because they get on their little soapbox, get the signaling, try to present themselves as heroes and caring about people. And all it takes is to scare the populace. That's all it takes, is to scare you guys, and you bend over and take it. Just scare you. Doesn't even have to make sense. Rooted in science. Says who? Because they're not answering the economic questions, which is what we're dealing with right now. And it pisses me off because, like I said, I've seen too many small businesses that's not getting over the other side of this. They're not getting out on the other side of this. You're done. I speak from this from a guy that's in the freaking music industry, and you look at venues and stuff that are permanently closing down, right? We ain't been on the road. We can't be. We're planning to drop the new album. Can't even do that because we can't get on the road again. And there's so many folks that are in those positions just like that. Thankfully, a person like myself who does political commentary and all these other stuff, I can still maintain here. A lot of folks can't. And that's on you. That's on the government. They don't look. I hate when they say, well, the virus did. No, the virus didn't do that. No, your reaction did that. The virus was going to do what the virus already did. And now you have folks that are ringing the alarm that we were telling them back then. I'm not a fan of the WHO. They have to admit it. They have to admit it. It's too late now. They got to admit it. We already knew this was going to happen. We've been talking about this months ago. And here we are 7 months in a game, and still in even America, we have all of these stupid restrictions. It really does piss me off. It does. For lack of better terms, that's just what it does. Because you can imagine being a person that's sitting here yelling from the mountaintops, right? Like, don't do this. This is a terrible idea. And they do it anyway because they think, well, government can just print money just like that. It's monopoly money, pump it into the economy, and everything's going to be fine. That's not how it works. Of course, if it did, that was how it works. You can just print a bunch of money in these definitely poor countries, and then they could all be. That's not how this works. Not how it ever has worked. But folks don't want to come to the realization, and that's on you. That's on you. You want to sit there and put 200 and whatever thousand people that have died in America, which I mean, in of course of 7 months. I'm sure it's a tragedy to folks that have lost folks, but you acting like it's an apocalyptic virus when it's not. But if we got to take responsibility for this, then you need to take responsibility for the millions upon millions upon millions of people that are going to starve to death. And not because of anything that the virus did, but because your silly economic restrictions that you've put on multiple countries have adopted. Because for whatever reason, they were scared to death of something with a 99% survival rate. And to be completely fair, the WHO is at fault here as well. Again, I'm not showing this simply to say, well, I'm showing this because they have to admit that. We already knew that was going to be one of the side effects, for lack of better terms. I already knew that. I've been talking about this, yet here we are. So for all of you guys that are trying to present yourselves as caring as you advocated for further restrictions and further lockdowns, you need to understand that there's an economic question that you refuse to answer. And because you don't answer because you can't, you just halt economic activity and just say, well, we just do this for a little bit. 15 days turns into 7 to 8 damn months. And this is what you get. Don't go blaming Trump. Don't go. No. That's on y'all. That's on your governors. That's on your city your city councils and your city judges and all of those guys that have allowed this buffoonery to take place. And you shut people down. And again, this is not just unique to America. You have countries that are abroad, again, going into more lockdowns, as in they kind of halfway opened it up and then they reclosed it. Which is what some places in here are even doing when you consider what's going down in New York. It needs to stop. It needs to stop. If you want, I'm going to say this again. It's the same point that I've been making for I don't know how long. You know a lot about the virus now, okay? And you know who it impacts generally. Who is most likely to die and get severely ill from it. You know that. And every man, woman should be able to assume whatever risk as they had been prior to today in October of 2020, when we used to spread viruses around and all that sort of stuff. You know, when you go out, definitely when you're around other people, there is a risk to be assumed. And if you don't want to assume it, don't. If you're a private business owner, you want to force people to wear masks in your private business, do that. If you want to force people to socially distance in your place of business, do that. If you want to stay cooped up in the basement with your face covered, go do that. But to completely halt economic activity for each and every single person, when people they think that people, like, more importantly, they think economics again is something that can be turned off and turned on, but it is not how it works. And if you had listened to us, you would have been, again, knowing what exactly to do. Locking the country down was always an insane damn thing to do. And this is why I constantly said over the months that this was unlike anything in recent human history that we've ever done. This is insane that so many countries have did this, and specifically for a virus. It's not even that lethal it's just what the statistics, what all the data from essentially every single country that collects it says. Will some people die? Absolutely. People have been dying, believe it or not, for a very long time from viruses, from bacteria. Wrong person gets it, they end up dying. You can be as safe as you want to, but to completely halt, especially with younger folk, right? My age and younger, especially with us, to lock us down of all people, which make up a significant amount of your workforce, it's utterly insane. And the blood's on their hands. They want to talk about the blood's on our hand for advocating against lockdowns, and they keep pointing to every single death, which you don't do for anything else, by the way. We don't do that for the flu or anything else. Car wrecks, heart diseases, people dying from that. We don't do that for anything else. We sit up there and have a ticker and then blame everybody else for selling, I don't know, cheeseburgers. We don't do that for anything else, but we do it for here. But if we are to supposedly, which we shouldn't, take responsibility for this, then you need to take responsibility for all the people that have lost their livelihoods because of these stupid lockdowns that you were an advocate of. Stop saying that the virus did it. Y'all did that.